It's a Thursday night, and you have stumbled upon the very beginning of the Mark and Macy show. So, this is what this is all about. That's Macy Golder, and I'll shut up for a second and let her talk and just let her say hi. How are we doing today,
Hello.
Macy?
Good. How are you doing?
I am doing great. So, I'm Mark Rogers, and through a mutual friend, Macy and I connected a few weeks ago and decided to do a little show here. So, we both love sports, and we kind of like to talk. And we will delve into a bunch of different things. So our aim here, at least starting this out, is to talk a lot of sports, but kind of the softer side of sports. So we might talk some hardcore nuts and bolts sports, but we definitely want to make fun of maybe a few people out there and have a little fun with it, and definitely want to mix things up and make this an interactive kind of show. So we need to hear from you as well. So that's again, Macy Golder. I'm Mark Rogers, Mark Rogers TV, and we're going to tell you a little bit about ourselves before we get started here. So, Macy, maybe we should start with you, because I think after people start to hear from you and then hear from me, they're going to be like, well, actually, it should probably be the Macy and Mark show. Might be a little bit better name for it. We brainstormed for hours trying to come up with a name for this show, and as you can tell, we got extremely creative with this, the Mark and Macy show.
Yep. All right. So I am not your typical, I guess, quote unquote girl. I didn't know what makeup was until college when I had a roommate who's actually a supermodel. So she introduced me and said, hey, put some of this on, put down the video controllers and stop playing Madden. You might get somewhere. So I've always been a tomboy. I've always been so into sports. And when I was in 5th grade, I told my parents I'd be the first girl to play in the NFL. They got me a field goal from my backyard because I played years of soccer. So I thought, hey, why not? I can kick. So kick, 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 kick. Finally, you realize you're not going to make it in the NFL, especially as a girl. I mean, I have some height. I'm 5'8", but, I'm not quite kicking material.
The Broncos need a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I learned how to throw a spiral pretty young, but I don't know if I could take that challenge yet. So I kind of decided, hey, the NFL is not going to work out for me, but what can I do, or how can I become part of a team or part of the NFL or part of sports? And I went to a Giants-Browns preseason game with my dad, met Susie Colbert, looked her right in the eye and said, one day I'm taking your job. She looked at me and said, hey, that's great. Be ambitious, go and get it, but let me have my time. And she told me, stay in school, follow my heart, and believe deep down inside that I can do it. So ever since she told me those words, I kind of just went with it. Went to Penn State, best 4 years of my life. Great sports program, great journalism program. Majored in that and graduated in 2013 and have been living the dream so far.
That is very cool. Very cool. So can you kick?
I used to be able to kick.
You kick pretty well. Okay. Because
Yeah.
you moved that extra point out so far that I see all these field goal kickers now struggling with the extra point in the NFL. It's kind of fun to watch now.
Yeah, I would probably need to get some work done if I kicked. I would be hurting big time.
Okay. We've heard about Macy. I'll let you know about myself. So I'm probably telling Macy a few things she doesn't know about me. So I'm a few months older than Macy. I'm guessing. I initially thought I might be a few months younger, but I think I've got her by a few months. So anyway, much like you, Macy, huge sports fan. And it wasn't really indoctrinated in my family. It wasn't like I grew up surrounded by sports. I had a bunch of friends who loved sports, and that's kind of got me into it. What got me into it when I was, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old is when I really got avid about baseball and the NFL. And uh-oh, did we lose me for a minute?
Yeah, we
Am I,
did, but we're back.
am I back? I'm
You're
back.
back.
I'm a little fuzzy because my camera's not working. Yikes.
It's all right.
Okay, I'm going to keep going. And then when you start talking, I'm going to try to fix my camera. So I'll make this brief then.
All right.
So basically, yeah, once I knew that you could write and broadcast, and I always thought that that was really cool, I was tunnel vision. So I talk to all these people now, and it's funny, young people that are in high school, in college, they don't know what they want to do. And I actually think that's a good thing because you can explore a bunch of things, depending on the person. I was tunnel vision. I knew from junior high, this is what I want to do. I want to be a broadcaster or a writer, sports writer. So that's what I did. I went to Kent State and I was locked in. And so I graduated from Kent State. I took on my first TV job. I was a news anchor and reporter for a small station in Ohio. And what was kind of funny about that interview was I just wanted to work sports. I had no interest in news whatsoever. I hated news. And I was just making like cold calls, just knocking on general managers' doors saying, hey, this is who I am. I want a job. And I'm sitting down with the news director and the station manager, and they're letting me know. Well, they let me know too late that there was a news opening because we were talking all this sports. And then they asked me, what do you think about news? And I said, I hate news. I despise news. I'm a sports guy. And they said, well, we've got a news opening. And I thought, well, I just killed myself there. But I got the job. So I was there in Ashland, Ohio, WNCO for 3 years, and learned a ton about just getting out there and doing it, being in the field, learning news and sports, and broadcasting a lot of sports on the weekends, doing play-by-play for Ashland University. So I'm not going to give you the resume. The resume is just too long and boring. So I'm starting down the road of talking resume here. But I've been in Mississippi, worked at a CBS station down there as a sports director, covered the SEC. That was great. I've been in management at ESPN in production operations for a number of years. That's interesting to see the business side of it and see television executed at that level. So that's exciting as well. So right now I've got a channel on YouTube called Mark Rogers TV. So I just crank out tons of college football content, and that's pretty much what I do on the side, and write for a number of publications, Last Word on Sports, Fansided, and do some other things like that. So that's my deal right now. And I know, Macy, that this past summer you were working for Our Vision for Rutgers football.
Yeah, that was a really cool experience. Yeah, no, it was a really cool experience at Rutgers. Being a Big Ten girl and getting the opportunity to cover a Big Ten team that wasn't your own school, learning a whole new coaching staff, roster, just their way of football. It was completely different, and being new to the Big Ten was really cool because it was a little bit, I don't want to say of a challenge, but it was a new thing for them, so they're still adjusting. And I met so many great people and so many great connections, and you know, I want to see them be successful. And with the rough year and the rough start that they had, I was a little upset with that.
Definitely. That was like some unprecedented situation to hear what went on there, and then just the response to that and so forth. So in the sports world this week, Macy, what catches your eye? What's got your attention?
So being a Giants fan, I love the NFC East. I am extremely excited to see Tony Romo come back. I think it's going to be really interesting. The NFC East has kind of been the battles of the losers so far. The Giants have just played awful games, bad play calling, bad clock management. What else is new? You know, a lot of that stuff. The Eagles were the dream team ×3, and now they find themselves questioning everything. The Redskins didn't believe in Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins now is their miracle, and they're in second place. And I think they could run away with that division, but I'm excited to see Tony back. I hope he kind of brings some of that magic back to the NFC East, and maybe we'll get the ball rolling and we'll see good football instead of just mediocre something to watch on Sunday football.
Macy, my favorite Kirk Cousins comment was when he was a rookie and he got his first start. I think he came in relief the week before. He played pretty well. He might have won the game or brought him back, but he played well. Then he got his first start, and he won. And he was asked after the game, you know, were you nervous? You had to be a little bit intimidated. Rookie season, first start, and you're in the NFL. And he said, I played in the Big Ten. This wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that. Love the Big Ten football. So, I root for him because you want to see him do well. You want to see the Big Ten guys do well. So, I'm rooting for you, Kirk. But next week when the Giants play the Redskins, I'm not rooting for you.
So I got two words for you. Being a Giants, not just a Giants fan, but somebody who covers the Giants, I think unless things drastically change this season and you're able to win the division title and maybe erase some negative things that have happened this year, it's clock management. That's
Yes.
It's kind of been the big issue for Tom Coughlin and his staff this year.
Tom Coughlin's a young guy, but you'd think he'd know clock management by now. It's really, really disappointing to see that come from a coach that is so experienced, has been through this many of times. You learn your lesson, okay, maybe it happens again, but now it's just unacceptable. And this team is not rookies. It's a lot of veteran players, and they should know better, along with the coaching staff. So I'm hoping we don't see it anymore this season because the Giants could really, really be holding on to first place, but right now, blink of an eye, it's gone for them.
Was that a little knock on Tom Coughlin's age that I caught there?
Yeah, he's the oldest coach. It's only fair, right?
The healthy 75.
He's a good guy. Tom Coughlin's a good guy. I just question as a fan some of his play calling and some of the things that he does.
I think some of these coaches, they are great coaches when it comes to X's and O's, and they're great coaches when it comes to relating to players and building a program, building a system, the credibility, the whole deal. But they need somebody next to them that kind of understands the whole clock management situation. I think we saw that with Herman Edwards when he was in the NFL, that, man, that guy can fire up a team. He can really inspire some people, but clock management is a bit of a question, and in terms of game time decisions, a bit rough.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, Macy, that you also have your thoughts about what's a catch and what's not a catch.
Yes, yes. That seems to be the thing all season long. It's not just the Giants. It seems to be every team, but the Giants got the curse this week with an Odell Beckham Jr. I'd say it's a catch. The week before, they were comparing it to Golden Tate. I would say not a catch. Do I want to blame the refs for the Giants losing this game? Partially. But I, again, blame Coughlin giving the Patriots the ball with 1:50 seconds on the clock.
I still am having trouble with you wanting and liking that Tony Romo's back. So you just want teams to be at full strength. You want to see some good football.
Yes, it's just the NFC East is a little boring right now when it used to be the top dog. So I'm hoping Tony comes back full swing, and maybe sometimes the NFC East fans love to hate on Tony Romo, and they want to see him fumble. They want to see him pull the typical Tony Romo stunt. So maybe we're rooting for that too. But I want to see good football.
I'm actually, Macy, a little entertained to see how the Cowboys are going to blow that particular game that week. That's entertainment to me because they seem to invent a different way each week. And I was a little upset this past week just because I like to get my predictions right. And I took the Cowboys. They were a 1-point favorite against the Buccaneers. They had the game in their hands, and they figured out another way to blow a game with a pass interference or like a defensive holding call at the goal line after they stopped Jameis Winston. So, yes, it's not a great division, but it's full of tradition and probably the hardest core fans across the NFL. If you look at all four teams, there are no softies in there in regards to fan bases. Everybody's really invested and really hardcore from those four NFC East division fan bases. And the Eagles, yeah, we know what Philadelphia fans are like, and you're kind of close by, so you've got a feel for Eagles fans and what they're all about.
Oh, yeah, they've shaped me to be who I am today. Growing up as a Giants fan, living in the suburbs of Philadelphia, not only did I have to know the Giants in and out, but I had to know the Eagles in and out. And I had to know, who they were playing. And I followed more Eagles football because we don't even get Giants games here. So it was it was fun. I mean, I had my good days when the Giants lost or when the Eagles lost in the Super Bowl. Best day of my life. I was actually so sick that day I couldn't go to school and rub it in everyone's face that the Eagles lost in the Super Bowl. But they whipped me into shape, and I gave it right back. And if you wanted to give it back, you had to know what you're talking about. So that's what made me really, really get into football in like 5th or 6th grade.
Macy, this is going to be my shameless plug about my fantasy football abilities because it centers around that Super Bowl. Because otherwise, I've never played fantasy football, and people are surprised by that. Like people ask me every so often for some kind of advice, and I tell them I've never played fantasy football, but I played an office pool the year of the Eagles-Patriots Super Bowl, the one you're talking about, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the playoffs, somebody at ESPN came up with the pool, and they said we're going to do a fantasy pool, but it's only for the playoffs, and so you got to pick players that are in the playoffs. So my strategy was the Eagles and the Patriots are going to go to the Super Bowl. So I'm taking all Eagles and all Patriots. And, Peyton Manning was probably piling up better stats than anybody at that time. And so people would take Peyton Manning, but obviously if your guy gets knocked out early in the playoffs, then he's not going to be around to compile points. So you've got to kind of weigh both of those things around. So there's like 100 people, something like that in this pool. And I'm like in, I don't know, 21st place going into the Super Bowl. And somebody noticed when people were trying to look at the list and figure out who's going to win this thing, somebody noticed that I was like 21st, but I had all Eagles and all Patriots on my two little fantasy AFC, NFC teams. So, yeah, I made points every play of the Super Bowl and vaulted up to first. So that's my claim to fame with fantasy football. That's the only time I've ever played or done anything with fantasy football, and it worked out that one time.
Did you have any points for Donovan McNabb puking on the field? Plus or negative?
I think that might have been a bonus selection that I missed. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, that was a little rough. Donovan, the nerves got to him. And
yeah, I actually had my mom write on my excuse card because I was very serious about the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I did not want to see it happen. I made her write that Donovan gave me the stomach flu. Because that's the kind of kid I was, So I was so proud to hand that excuse card into my teacher a couple days after.
I'm getting the feel here that there are a lot more Macy stories that have yet to be told about some rather odd instances about your sports fanaticism and maybe some other stuff. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, you definitely will.
And you're a Mets fan.
I am. I'm a diehard, and I'm not a new season Mets fan. A lot of Mets fans came out of closets this year and were like, hello, how are you? No, I've been a Mets fan way, way back. My grandfather was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan. Once the Dodgers bumped out of town, my grandfather said any true Dodger fan would never be a Yankee fan, so he became a Mets fan. My dad was a Mets fan, and my dad said, if you want to live in this house, you're a Mets fan too. So I've been bleeding blue and orange since 1991.
All right. Okay, so my one connection to the Mets was I remember the '86 Mets, and the whole deal with the '86 Mets, and they were great. So living in Ohio, you could watch the Braves, you could watch the Cubs, you could watch the Mets. If you wanted to see like a team play every day, they were the three teams with the superstation. So it was tough to resist Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry, those guys. But actually, even before that, I kind of liked the Mets for some reason. They were like lovable losers before that, and then they got really good, really fast. And I was a Mets guy. They were kind of my second team for a little while there. I'm an Indians fan. I'm an Ohio guy, Indians fan here. So the one thing I will say is, for some reason, I've always been a Tom Glavine fan. So obviously he's not playing anymore, but Mets fans may not be real happy with Tom Glavine, and his last game on the mound for the Mets was trying to get to the playoffs, and he had like the worst game of his career. But so I don't know if that still hurts.
Not so much. I would definitely say, though, when the Mets, the last time they were in the playoffs, and Carlos Beltran just watched that ball go right over the plate. My dad won 2 tickets to the World Series in a lottery. So if the Mets won, we had 2 tickets to the World Series. And I sat there with my dad watching this game, knowing we could be going to the World Series, and we just watched a game end like that.
Yeah, that was rough. I was at work and had some Mets fans around me. And I was rooting for the Mets because Tom Glavine was on the team. I was rooting for the Mets. So it was the next year I was talking about that they were trying to get back to the playoffs, and they had a big lead coming down the stretch, and they blew it. And then they needed a win on the last day of the season to make the playoffs. And, yeah, Tom Glavine didn't pitch rather well in that one.
That's sports, though, right? Makes you a better fan. I mean, you win some, you lose
Try to
some.
help people. I don't know if you have people in your life like this, Macy, who friends or whoever who kind of jump from team to team depending on who's winning. And that's what fun is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of back to the Eagles. That's a lot of the Eagles fans. They're fans if the Eagles are winning. If the Eagles aren't winning, it's like they don't exist.
Yeah, you can't be like that. You got to stick with your team because that makes winning that much sweeter.
Exactly. You appreciate a win.
All right. So that's Macy. I'm Mark. We're going to do this maybe every Thursday night. We're still figuring things out. And maybe it's going to be Macy and Mark. Maybe it's going to be something else. Maybe we'll come up with a different name. But it seems to work at this point, so we'll go with it. So, yeah. So tweet us, comment. We'll read your comments. We'll react. So I've got one comment here, Macy, and I think you know where I'm going with this. This is one comment. So Macy and I have done, let's see, 2 records. We talked some college football last week, and then the week before, or maybe a couple of weeks ago, we talked some Brian Kelly, his little situation on the sideline during the Temple game. So Clemson alum 98. Do you know who this individual is, Macy?
I do not. No.
Do not. Okay.
Do not.
Way you wrote your response, I thought, does she know this individual? Okay. So somebody's an instant fan. Not that you don't have others out there, which I'm sure you do. But this person, let's see, this was in response to, I'm guessing, the first video, I think, started talking all this college football. Maybe it was the second video. We were talking college football and the best matchups for the week. And so Clemson alum 98 responded that they had all these opinions about who should be in the playoff and who shouldn't and where we missed it. And then last comment was, Macy, I have an extra ticket for you to the ACC championship game.
Yeah.
I don't get offers like that.
I mean, I can say that's probably my first. I was speechless. I didn't even know what to say. I thought it was pretty funny. I actually didn't know if it was like a good thing or a bad thing at first, because sometimes, people are like, yeah, you can, go to this sporting event. And then I was like, I don't know if that was good or bad. But no, once I kept reading it, and then you were like, where's my ticket? I knew it was a good thing. So I thought that was really cool. If you want to go, let's go.
You notice he didn't respond when I jumped in with asking where my ticket is.
I know.
Just crickets. Okay.
I'm sure there will be someone out there that will want to hang out with you and bring
I'm sure.
to some cool sporting event. I don't know.
I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years. Nobody's offered me any tickets to any games, or I get comments about how stupid I am, or my opinion's stupid, or all that. No, I do get some really nice comments. I have to admit, most of the comments are very nice. Either they're just typical sports comments, engaging, giving their opinion. But I do get some really nice comments about, love the videos, keep it up, that kind of thing. But then I shouldn't probably bring out my best material for the first show, since who knows how many people are going to watch this. But maybe the funniest comment I ever got, Macy, was somebody, they were just kind of ripping on whatever opinion I had about whatever the topic. Then they mentioned that I might want to lose the bad hair job, something about my hair, and I wish I could go back and read it, but it's been taken off. Something about my hair and something about the bad dye job on my hair.
Yeah. Being a girl, I know all about that too. Everything gets critiqued, and hey, bring it on. I don't really care. I'm me. I'm happy with myself. People like me for who I am. Take it or leave it. I stay humble. If you want to, throw some good at me, throw some bad at me, you can only critique yourself. So if you're happy with yourself, who cares what they say, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I can't leave that comment though, because no dye. It's all natural. That's it. There might be a little gel every so often, but that's it.
Yeah, people are pretty harsh, and then I say, how about you do this? You put yourself in this situation. Then
They
what?
are harsh. Yes, people get awfully mean when they can sit behind their laptop. It's amazing.
Yep, yep. I experienced some of that at Rutgers. Coming into that, being a Penn State grad, they wanted me out. I went through some tough times, but it was the best learning lesson that I've ever had. People went to the extremes of telling me to go kill myself. So I was very taken back by that, and my dad just said, keep going, keep doing what you're doing, because when you have haters, you know that you've done something right. And it's what I've done. I appreciate the people that bring in the good, and I wish the best to the people who bring in the bad.
Wait a minute. So you started working for Rutgers, our vision, and there are actually people that are Rutgers fans, alumni, whatever, students that like were seriously giving you a hard time, like not joking.
Oh, yes, 110%. I mean, it was really crazy. It was with my first day was a Sunday when players reported, and by Monday, once videos were up and out there, and people found my Twitter account, they saw that I was a Penn State grad, and they were not happy with it at all. I got harassed because of where I went to school and because of the way I look, and people think I should lose 25 pounds, and you name it, they said it. And they went to every extreme, every single extreme, but I kept my head up and I did what I needed to do, and I couldn't be more thankful for it.
Okay. Well, it's obvious that you got some serious weight issues, Macy. So I'm not going to go there because that's pretty obvious that you need to work on that. So I wasn't ever going to address that part of it. But man, that's just crazy because we've got, first of all, I never took Rutgers football as being that passionate of a fan base. So I'm surprised there. And then secondly, I never took Penn State and Rutgers. I know they're pretty close in proximity, but I don't consider that a rivalry. So it's one thing that if you're the Michigan girl going to report on Ohio State or something like that, I still don't get it. It's still mean. Yeah, you joke and you make fun of, but and then then thirdly, yeah, some people need to look up the backgrounds of some broadcasters and writers out there. Hint, hint, not everybody who writes for your team or broadcasts for your team went to your school. There are people all over the place writing and broadcasting for different schools that didn't go to that school. So yeah, people are pretty ignorant. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was really crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong. We all get it on a daily basis on Twitter. Post a photo, post this, post that. People are there to critique you. But you can't let it bother you, and you just got to keep doing what you're doing and having fun with it. So, I mean, it was a cool experience. There were some days where I wanted to cry and never do this ever again, never talk about sports ever again. And then there's other days where I got to cover a Stanley Cup. And witnessing that, I said, hey, to all those people who put me down, where are you tonight? I've worked for this. So that's all I can say, let my work show my progression. And that's all I can do.
Definitely. Well, Macy, some of the things you've said have given me reason to come up with a ton of questions to ask you in the future. So
Perfect. Bring them on.
No, good questions, because you got some good things to say about some interesting topics. Definitely about women in sports, women in sportscasting, the stuff that you have to deal with that maybe men don't or definitely don't. So there's some good topics there. So I think we'll put a wrap on this. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we got a lot out tonight. I think it was good. I do have to say this. The one thing I don't like this week in sports are the 0-12 Sixers. I'm not a Sixers fan, but being in the Philadelphia market, it's the only basketball I get, and it is painful to watch. So Sixers, please do it for the fans out there. Do it for the people that have to watch you on TV. Play some basketball. That's all I ask.
Macy has made her plea for better basketball in Philadelphia, and that's a franchise that's been around forever. They have had some great teams and a great past, but it's been abysmal for a long time in Philadelphia. So I don't know what the issues are with the ownership, the front office, the head coaching, but it's obviously been in place there for a long time because it's been forever since the 76ers have been relevant.
Yes.
All right. So that's Macy Golder. I'm Mark Rogers of Mark Rogers TV, and this is our little show that we think we're going to do on Thursday night. So we will have it all over the place on YouTube at Mark Rogers TV. We'll tweet it out. We'll have it on Facebook. We'll have it out there for you each and every week. So please join us. Send us comments. Send us tweets. And we'll have a little interactive show on sports and whatever else we want to talk about. All right. Good stuff, Macy. It was great. So we'll see you soon.
Sounds great. Week 1 is in the books.